Phyllis Raleigh here with Goddess University, and I am still in beautiful Doi Saket, Thailand at Tao Garden. And I am here with Dr. Angela Longo, who is amazing, and I can't wait for you to get to know her. So this is a part of our Conversations in Circle, our continuing conversations with amazing people and doing amazing work. And so I wanted to share with you her work. And so, welcome, Dr. Angela.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. I have enjoyed your work, and I've got to experience it, as you suggested we do. We do a session together. And I really want to tell you, if you have not read Lynne McTaggart's work, the bond, the field, the intention experiment, I believe you've heard talk, you really need to go back and look at that work, because it's an amazing about what quantum physics and how it affects our everyday life in amazing ways. And Dr. Angela, let me ask first of all, how did you get started in this work?
Phyllis, I was a Chinese medical doctor after having been a biochemist, PhD from UC Berkeley.
So you were all left brain making it work.
I was very strong on the left side, although if you look at my personality type, I was an artist. Half of me was an artist. Perfect. So I brought both of those to my life and decided after I got my PhD that the PhD was not where I was going. Science really doesn't work, as quantum physics showed us. Heisenberg said, it's uncertain. If you look at where something is, you won't know what time it's there. If you know what time it's there, you won't know where it is. So in other words, the observer is the experiment, is the result. So I said enough with science, so I did Chinese medicine, which is a science that works. It's how to help people with using an energy understanding.
Now, it's interesting you said Chinese medicine works versus, so I'm going to make a comparison, so Western medicine does not work.
They ask a different question. Western medicine says, why is this happening? Chinese medicine says, how can I help this situation? So it's the difference in the answer.
Of course.
Because in Chinese medicine, you come up with ways to help the person that they've been using for thousands of years. Whereas Western medicine is young. It's only a few hundred years old, I believe. And they didn't ask that question. They took everything apart and wanted to know the pieces, which is valuable to a point. But the Orientals left it all together and says, how does this life work? How does the whole thing work?
Sure.
So it's really a different approach.
Right, it's very much the holistic, and just let's look at all the pieces and put it together.
Exactly.
And interesting is that Western is taking it apart and dissecting it and looking at that small piece and trying to get an answer in the small.
And I loved that for quite a while in my life, until I got really ill. And that's how I found Chinese medicine.
You applied it to yourself first.
My medicine, yes, my method.
Okay, and can you share a little bit about your journey then to help from illness to health?
Well, so Chinese medicine gave me a way to regain the stress levels that I had imposed on myself through graduate school. It helped me relieve all the conditions that came up, hypoglycemia, nervousness. And then, another 30 years later, after practicing it successfully for at least 30 years, I got another diagnosis by an energy diagnostic machine for liver cancer. And that's when I said, well, I knew that there was something else I had to learn in life, and now it's time, because just energy medicine wasn't enough. So then I started asking some questions, which brought back some of the scientific study of the quantum world, because that's where I had to go. There were no answers anywhere else. But in the quantum world, down into the atom, into the particles that makes up everything in the universe, light and everything, I found teachings and information, literally, that has changed my life, brought me back to health, and I did not go the Western route at all, because I knew even Chinese medicine didn't really do much, doesn't do much for liver cancer. So I went all the way out into a new field that I had to invent, because nobody was applying it. People were talking about it, and I was so excited about that. but there were no pictures or applications for life. And I said, okay, it's time. And I have nothing to lose and everything
And all to gain. Indeed, indeed.
So that's how we started.
Amazing. Hi, I'm here with Dr. Angela again, and we're going to be talking about her book, The Relationshifting, Tools for Living Quantum
Resplendence.
Relationshifting. So
That's
tell me
one of
about
mine.
that.
Relationshifting is about understanding that everything in the universe is in relationship to us. And not only that, but we're actually creating it. So when we know that, we can then, like a mirror, we can see ourselves. And when we see ourselves, then we can say, is this what I really want? If it isn't, then I can do a little ace of heart waving, which is a method for shifting what I'm not really desiring to do right now. And then it's a magic through the quantum world understanding, because we're all wave particles, the wave nature will shift and be felt on the other side of the mirror. So this is, when Gandhi said, if you want to change the world, change yourself, he was telling the truth.
He's nailing it.
It works. It really works.
So we know that if you want to change the world, you want to change yourself. And how we look at the world will affect everything that happens to it. But can you explain a little more, then how do we make that shift?
Without the effect.
Yes.
You can't use the word.
It's
not an effect, it's instantaneous. I change and the world changes. Just exactly in the moment, it's known and felt.
But what if you're trying to change somebody else?
Then you need to look at yourself again.
Okay.
Oh, I'm trying to change myself again. I mean, them again. Am I really here to change the world? Never. I can pretty much tell you, having tried getting liver cancer, that changing the world doesn't happen, and it doesn't work. It can't. The quantum world says that everything changes as you change. Einstein told us to know the universe, you need to have a point of reference.
Right.
One point of reference.
Right.
And the point of reference is you.
Right.
It's me.
Right.
So the only way to know, the only way to do anything in the universe, including transfigure it, which is a word I like, I transfigure myself, and presto changeo, the universe changes.
Right. Okay.
And it's true.
It's very true.
What we've been taught in school.
Exactly. But I remember
Not the
hearing
old science.
a story years ago. NPR did a story about, they're trying to measure, and just the act of measuring was an expectation to get that result, got the result, because they had set an intention and manifested it. And so when you think about that, I'm like, okay, but that was something, not personal. It was like, it's a measurement of I can't remember if it was light or sound or air or water, but just the fact that they were trying to measure made that happen. So now we want to take that.
It's not just personal, what we're talking about. This is physical.
Right.
This works on a physical level with all of matter, with all of creation, not just on a personal level. In fact,
go ahead.
Yeah, in fact, on a personal level, you have all of the information and the willpower and everything there that is that person. So you're not dealing with a blank slate. So even though they know, they experience it, and they have the choice to shift, they still have the choice. Whereas if it's not a person, it will know it and possibly shift a lot faster, or at least immediately, as we said, because they don't have free will. If they're not human, it doesn't. If it isn't a humanistic thing that we're talking about.
All right, so tell me about your work, and how do you work with an individual?
Well, I immediately want to begin with the information from them. Why? Because on a quantum level, everything is made up of two natures, a particle nature and a wave nature, which I've drawn.
Yes, you got
now
some.
You know why.
You got some little cheat sheets for us.
I just have a little one. Now we all know what a wave looks like. It just keeps on going. And in the quantum world, this wave fills the whole universe instantly. And if you know about a wave, you can cut the wave into pieces, and every piece is the same as the next piece. So there's a recurringness to a wave, a quantum wave, that's good to know about, because that's part of our nature, to have this recurring theme of us. And when we know that, which is what I want to do with my client, I want to get to know what their recurring patterning of them is, exactly. And so when you know that, then you can begin to with a conscious awareness to live that when you get stuck. And as soon as you do, bingo, you're back in the groove, and you have all the gifts of the quantum world at your fingertips, would you like to hear what those are?
Yeah, I know they're limitless, but okay.
Yeah, well, there are three biggies.
Okay.
Will they see this if I hold it up?
They're tiny. Read them to us.
Okay, I can read it to you. There's three big ones that I talk about a lot, the three E's. This recurring nature of the wave, I call the eternal you, the eternal being, the eternal self. It's something that we know, but we don't know. But we can know. And I use a little technique that was taught to me by a teacher of asking you to make me a list of 8 accomplishments that you're proud of.
Right.
Because in that moment, you have that sense of you active.
Right.
That eternal theme is working with you. And so that gives me a little window into your life. And if you do 8 of those, and I give it some words with your help, I mean, you give it the words. You have to, because it's you.
Sure.
So as you answer questions, give me the words. We can then take that pattern and look at it against all the other 7 accomplishments, and I can see this nature of you that is your wave nature, which really has escaped us for thousands of years.
Yeah, we don't look at what we're good at and consistently let that flow in, or even try to flow in that. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
We're doing it. So then we have this nature, the personal nature, the particle nature, which we also need, because without the particle nature, the wave nature doesn't exist. We give the wave nature life. And so that's the conundrum that people often don't understand, that you can't throw the body out, or the baby, with any of the other stuff you want to keep in it. But you want to learn how to mature the baby, mature the body. We get stuck in the old patterns that we're given, from mom, from dad, from religion, from society, from science. I mean, we all have them. And then we get stuck in them. We think that that's me. Even our DNA we're given. Only 3% at most is expressed. I was a biochemist. And they used to call the other 97% of your DNA junk DNA because we didn't know what it was doing. And so what we needed to do is realize, well, maybe this is our jump start. Maybe that other 97% is the real you. And that's what we're discovering now, that other 97% not only gives us the tools to turn off the first 3%, but to open up and turn on the genes we really want. Right. And I'm a walking example. I was born with thalassemia minor, only Chinese, Italian, and I've just found out.
Carthaginian, Egyptian blood, like my own, carry that same disease, right?
And I was born with it. It's a little red blood cell, and my doctors now tell me I don't have it.
Nice.
And I just have, through this process for 15 years now, changed, transfigured myself as much as possible, and live my eternal nature, which I'm doing right now in talking to you. Because my eternal self is a networker of the wholeness of reality, what the nature of the human wholeness is really. And here we are talking about it, networking it with all the wonderful people who might be interested.
I love it.
So do I.
So, I know. That's why we're here.
We're not done yet. That was
Please
one.
tell
That's
me.
the eternal
Okay.
E. The next interesting thing, which you possibly saw in the movie What the Bleep,
Yeah.
is that if you wiggle that particle wave here and take another particle wave that it met on the other side of the universe, they move in the same way at the same time. And that was called spooky by Einstein. He couldn't handle it. He said, that's impossible. It's beyond cause and effect. And we know, don't we, that cause and effect is the only thing that works here. And that's what he thought, unfortunately. And then he spent 50 years, well, he didn't last that much longer, living cause and effect. And so did we, so did I. And until I discovered that, no, we don't live by cause and effect.
Right.
We live by emergent.
I love that. It spooked Einstein. And then he had to just walk away from it and said, I can't handle that. Let me go back to what I understand. So that movement together, the particle and the wave.
No. The particle wave.
Particle wave.
Yes, it's
Coming
two
together.
particle waves.
Ah.
Two particle waves that have met in any way, shape, or form, then are what we call an entanglement. And of course, by 6 degrees of separation, we've pretty much met everybody in the world, right? That's what they say.
Right.
So, you know, it's a non-issue that at some point we do have access to everything in the universe.
Wow.
And that's one of the things I love in this work. And people go, whoa, how did you know that? And I'm not psychic. I haven't ever sold myself like that. But the truth is, the ordinary way of life is psychic. We all are. We all have access. I use muscle testing to access it. I teach people to do it right there in the first session because they can have access as soon as they ask a question. That's all it takes. And you saw.
Yes.
You saw your personalities appear.
Yeah.
All kinds of information. There was no way I could know about you.
What I love about this work in particular, I was trained in an area called holographic repatterning. And it used the same muscle testing and as a way to work through what's the question you need to ask to get the answer you're looking for. And it's so very different from therapy, which is let's dig through the problem, find out why your mother didn't love you or whatever that answer is. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter. And it's really just asking the right questions is the key. So when someone comes to you and we've done the 8 questions or the 8 accomplishments, then what happens?
Well, then when we know their eternal self, and then I ask them, would you be happy doing this for the rest of your life? This theme of you? It isn't a thing you do, it's how you do everything.
Right.
So I just do everything in a networking wholeness sort of way. And yours was what yours was. So then when they know that, they'll scratch their heads and say, but how? And what if? The what ifs start happening. And then I say, okay, here comes part 2. Let's just transfigure, transform the what ifs. And that's the second story that I would like to tell you.
All right, tell me the story.
Okay, let's pretend I have a cup here. And it's filled with stuff, the what ifs, the poisons, the things I really don't want to live with. But I cannot throw it away because energy can neither be created nor destroyed. And so what I can do, though, is pour something into the cup. So what if? What if I start pouring all my desires, pouring water, pouring what I really want into my cup and forever? It won't take long that everything in the cup overflows and isn't there anymore. So that's the truth of it. So that's how I invented my technique. I said it has to resemble that. We just have to put in what we really want.
Right.
And then what Dr. Emoto showed us with his water messages is if I have a pattern in me, and I'm water, I'm made up mostly of water, right? If I just embrace that little snowflake pattern, which is the bath wave, and that's another little principle that I learned from Gandhi. He said, keep your belief positive, because from your belief come your thoughts. From your thoughts come your words. From your words come your actions. And so remember the quote that I just mentioned by Gandhi? All of those words, beliefs, actions, thoughts, habits, words, attitudes, values, and emotions. I added emotions and attitudes because we know men aren't big on emotions. That word wasn't in there.
Okay.
So I put them all together, and if you take the first letter of all those words, you get a great word. Bath wave. And I said, oh, what a great word. Now I can remember all those pieces of information I want to know about me and you. And so I said, well, maybe that's not an accident, that which of course you don't. You know that nothing's an accident in this world. I said, how do I feel after a bath and after a swim? How do you feel after a bath and a swim?
Awesome. I hate getting wet, but once I get out, I'm really happy.
Yeah.
It feels good.
How long does it last?
Not long enough.
Exactly. So if
we have construction on the site. Good things are happening. And in fact, Dark Room is happening, which is going to be a 3-week intensive for a lot of folks here to go into total blackness. And so the drilling you hear in the background, get over it, we are, is them putting up the panels so everything gets black. You were saying that.
So I was saying that if you realize that when you get in a bath or a pool, you're being held with no judgment, right? I thought to myself, maybe that's why you feel great for a while. The patterns are gone, because for that moment, there's no judgment of ourselves. Because we're experiencing a state in ourselves that is without judgment. We're letting ourselves just hold ourselves without judgment. So I'm repeating that quite a few times, because in the end, the technique, without anyone knowing it, actually, you don't have to know it. It's one of the techniques within the technique. So the technique I called the ACE, because there's only 4 words that describe the technique. It's the ACE of heart waving. The 4 words are face it and embrace it, part 1. Part 2, replace it with your grace. So every one of those 4 words ends in the word ACE. Shall we keep going? Okay. So the ACE then is means first. And this technique very quickly will create a shift, a transformation that you can literally physically experience on an information level, and then information comes together and makes energy. Energy comes together and makes matter, thanks to Einstein. We all know that, E equals mc squared. What we didn't know was the information becoming energy. This is new. This is experimental, but most people are talking about the importance of it. And the mystics have always talked about it. They said there's a body yet that we don't know about, and then if you can work on in that way, you have miracles happening.
Yeah.
Well, this is the work of mirror calls.
Yeah.
And I've renamed the word miracles to mirror calls, bringing this idea back again.
Calls. I love it. Okay.
Because that's all life is. It's one every moment mirror call. And it's calling me to my enlightening, resplendent, illuminated is the word I use, and universal nature. And that's the part that may take a little bit of understanding. But within a session, most people get a sense of it.
Say that again. That mirror call calls us to what again?
The mirror call calls us to our own illuminated self. The self of us that's creating our universe, that is eternal, and that's doing something you would really like to know about. Weren't you happy when you found out what yours was?
Oh, yeah.
So when you know that and you live it, you realize after a while, well, if I quit fighting this so much, I'm living what I really want anyway, eternally, and that illuminates my life like light, because light is also made up of particle wave. So we then become radiant, literally, in a different sort of way. Not as light, but we're able to reach out and access the universe every moment just as we wish, and create as we wish.
Now, I think we all understand it best when we think about and we recognize our self-sabotaging behavior. So we may have that thought of, oh, a desire or a possibility or potential, and then that immediate next thought is, oh, why we can't do it, or, oh, but I don't want to be this, or I can't, or I won't, or I shouldn't, or not able to. And we're comfortable in the not, and we've gotten so used to the no's to ourselves that we don't even give ourselves the opportunity for the potential. It's like the wave comes and we give it its own wall to stop it.
Right.
But this says,
You can shift that
yes,
in less than a minute.
right, and get out of your own way.
Yeah, face it and embrace it. And that's all you have to do, literally, to melt the pattern, is face it and embrace it in your body that quickly. And you have to speak it. You use all your 5 senses. I face and embrace that I'm sabotaging myself, that I'm the biggest no in my life, and I'm ready to stop it right now. And doing this does give you the immediate sense, am I still sabotaging myself? That was a no. I muscle tested it. So I immediately melted the pattern. And then part 2, pour into your cup what you want. Well, if I don't want to sabotage myself, what would you like to do?
Right, I'd like to see the world. You know, I want to travel. I want to fall in love. I want to make more money.
So you might put that in one simple sentence, I want to do as I desire. And then you put it in. And putting it in is equally easy. You put it into your core. We call it in the Chinese Oriental Taoist system, as Mantak Chia has taught us here, the microcosmic orbit. And so all you have to do then is put it in your central nervous system, your microcosmic orbit, or the yogis can call it ring around the chakras. And so you just touch all your chakras and you say, I can do as I desire. I will do as I desire. I do exactly as I desire.
Wow.
And as soon as you do that, we can muscle test it. Do I do as I desire? That's a yes. This was a no. So it immediately goes in, and the person can feel it. They feel, oh, wow, that feels good. I feel like I just went swimming.
Right, right. It is amazing to me how the vocal and the action
5 senses
really anchors it inside your body, and it is an immediate shift of awareness. You know, it's all of a sudden you walk in a room and it's, oh, it's that. Okay, it's here, it's there, and it's in me. And it's not something I have to go run out or work hard to make. It's a realization that I'm in that, and it's there, and that is the quantum shift.
Exactly.
That is the quantum shift.
It is.
Wow. All right.
It is.
How do we find you? How do we find you on the internet?
You can email me. I do have a my name, Angela Longo, #1@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to find me. The websites never seem to get through to me. So I'm totally open to being emailed. I think you could Google me and find that, fairly easily. Yes. It's in my book.
Right.
You can call me, you can Skype me, but I'd rather hear from you first and know what your intention is.
Sure.
Because I can do sessions on Skype.
Excellent, excellent.
And what I really, really want to do, when people experience this, like yourself and some other people here at Tao Garden, I really want to train people to do this, to carry it to the world, and to teach other people to do this. And that's really why I'm here. It's because, you know, this place is a place of Qigong. Mantak Chia is very world-renowned for his practices, his Qigong. And this came in an indirect way from him, because it embodies his microcosmic orbit. And he teaches this way to transfigure ourselves. So I am putting it all together training people with his Taoist practices also, using these little bits and pieces from the quantum world to totally transform our health, wealth, life, relationships, and the world, if we wish, by changing ourselves. So as you find me, I will, of course, not only give you a session on Skype if you like, but I'll also do workshops. I'm going to travel in the near future. I live in Hawaii, so I'd like to invite everyone to come to Hawaii in the next couple months, March, April, maybe the beginning of May. I'll be offering workshops, tutorings, sessions on the big island of Hawaii. Kamuela is the town, and I welcome everyone to come and find me there.
Amazing lady. It works. It's simple. I recommend it to everyone. It's probably the fastest way to shift any area of your life quickly, without drugs, without, working out for 40 weeks to do it. You just go and make the shift and realize change is within. I also have to point out something else too, because one of the things I have learned to do is do face reading and looking at the facial features of a person when I talk to. And I just want you to notice the lines on this woman's forehead. There's probably 20 of them. And when you see over 5 lines, that's usually when you see genius. But when you see as many lines on this woman's head, listen to the lines.
Never heard that interpretation.
That's the truth, Mama. Listen.
I never heard that. I heard worry.
No, well, no. Worry's not on the forehead. Intelligence is in the forehead, and you're looking for the lines. And so I like talking.
Quite a few too.
I got a few lines, but you packing, Mama. You packing some lines.
I've just been thinking a long time.
You've been thinking a long time.
That's my last name, Longo. Longo.
There you go. Well, we're going to let them finish construction, and we're going to go grab some lunch. But Dr. Angela Longo, thank you for joining us, Conversations in Circles.
As we say in Thailand, Kap Kun Ka.
Kap Kun Ka. Thank you.
Kap Kun Ka for tuning in.